Okay, um, so we're running just a couple of minutes late here, but I think we've given enough time for everybody to arrive. So let's go ahead and get started. This is the third installment of the Go Blue online marketing series. Today we'll be focusing on developing marketing content for your tourism business. Um, this is the the third installment, like we mentioned, of the online marketing series. We started in September with an introduction to online marketing for tourism businesses. In October, we presented a session on optimizing your website for travelers and for search engines. Today, we'll be focusing on developing content for tourism marketing. Next month, in December, we'll present on social media and tourism. In January, we have a presentation on blogging and how you can be using a blog for your marketing purposes. And finally, in February of 2014, we'll conclude with a presentation on review sites and reputation management. So there's things like forums, particularly TripAdvisor, that have an effect on your business, of course. Um, I'm Gabriel Cedar, Director of Enterprise Marketing here at Solimar International. Presenting with me today is Lucia Prince, who many of you know is the coordinator of the Go Blue Central America program. Unfortunately, Matt Humke, our normal companion for the Go Blue webinars, is not able to join us today, but he'll be back next month for the subsequent presentation. For those of you who haven't joined us before on this webinar series, our goals with these presentations is to introduce the principles of online marketing to the small businesses that are participating in the Go Blue Central America program. For those of you that aren't familiar with Go Blue, of course, is the initiative that is helping bring small businesses across Central America, particularly in Roatan, Bocas del Toro, in front of a larger audience of international travelers. And so our goal with this is to help introduce the principles of online marketing, to help small businesses get started marketing online. We want to help point you towards resources and online tools that can help your marketing move forward, with the eventual goal, of course, of helping travelers find you in the increasingly online, crowded online space. If you haven't seen the previous presentations, all of our previous webinars are available on YouTube. Here's a short link to our YouTube page. This one as well will be uploaded to YouTube. You'll find the previous webinars in both English and in Spanish. You'll also be able to download our presentations without the audio. These will be available immediately after the presentations. Before we get started today, I'd just like to take a moment to point everybody towards the Go Blue Central America Facebook page. This is a page that we just launched recently, and if you haven't had an opportunity to check it out yet, then I encourage you to do so. Like I mentioned, next month we'll be focusing more on social media, and we'll dive into a little bit more detail about the potential of social media in your marketing. But it would be great in the meantime if everybody could go ahead and take a look at some of the content that we're pushing out for Go Blue, and that we're putting on the Facebook page. And if you go ahead and like us, then you'll get updates from Go Blue directly to your Facebook feed, as well as getting marketing content that you can use on your own social media. And it's a great way to stay engaged with the program, to connect with both travelers and with other participants in Go Blue. So that would be great. The other platform I'd like to direct your attention to is a blog that we've been operating on WordPress. So this is gobluegeotourism.wordpress.com. This has all kinds of updates from Go Blue, as well as travel resources and inspirational resources for travelers. So we've been pushing out a lot of content that's relevant to Go Blue and relevant to your businesses on the blog. We hope to continue to push out a lot of great content here and help draw more tourists to your destinations. I'd also like to point out that we're always willing to and happy to accept additional content from Go Blue participants to publish on the blog. So if you have anything that you'd like to announce relevant to your business or relevant to your destination, or if you are just really passionate about the places where Go Blue Central America is operating, then we'd be more than happy to push out your content on the blog. We'll have contact information, of course, available for you after the presentation. So today, let's jump into developing marketing content for your tourism business. When we were talking about marketing content, I don't think that anything here will be anything that you haven't heard of before, but our goal is to kind of take a step back and to take a look at what sort of content travelers, the travel trade and travel media is looking for, and how you can start pushing out content that will reach these audiences in a way that will really inspire them and ultimately drive them towards your business. We'll start with taking a look at content that's relevant to travelers. Then we'll move into the travel trade, by which, of course, we mean travel agents, outbound tour operators, even local suppliers, sales partners, and other members of the travel industry. And finally, we'll look at developing out content for the travel media. This, again, should be pretty clear. We're talking about writers here, particularly for travel magazines, as well as online audiences, so things like travel blogs, even social media personalities. So we'll get into that towards the end. So let's start by taking a look at what sort of content we can be putting out for travelers. And I'd like to kind of start by taking a look at the travel planning cycle. So this is something that I think that everybody is at least vaguely familiar with, even if they haven't really thought it through. And the idea with the travel planning cycle is that there's discrete stages that we've sort of identified that every traveler moves through as they prepare for a trip. So the first sort of stage that we would identify a traveler entering into is this dreaming stage up at the top. And what we mean by the dreaming stage is this is a traveler who is probably still at home and they're sitting at their desk at work maybe, or having a conversation with friends and family. And the idea is that they're thinking about taking a trip. And they don't necessarily know where they want to go or when they want to go or what their budget will be or what they'll be doing, but they have this idea that they would really like to take a trip. The next discrete stage that a traveler would move into is what we call the planning stage. This is when a traveler starts sort of comparing their options. They might be thinking about what destination they want to go to, what sort of activities they want to go to. During the planning stage, they'd be doing things like figuring out when they're able to travel, how long they're able to travel, what their budget might be, who they would be going with, and this sort of thing. This is sort of when they'd be weighing options and looking for some information, but really they're still looking for inspiration. After a traveler sort of moved through this planning stage, then they land in what we call the deciding stage. And at this point is when travelers are starting to make decisions, clearly. They've decided where they want to go. So maybe they've decided that they want to go to Bocas del Toro, for instance. They've decided what they want to do there. Maybe they want to go surfing or they want to go hiking, want to go swimming or go on a boat tour, whatever this might be. And at this point, they're looking at suppliers, activity providers, hotels, transportation logistics, flights, all of this information that they've gathered during the planning stage, and they're making decisions on these. The next clear stage is going to be your booking stage. This is increasingly happening online, so going to websites like Kayak, Orbitz, Priceline, Booking.com to book hotels, to book activities, to book flights. Of course, this happens offline as well at reservation desks, through travel agents, and then, of course, on the ground as well. It's worth thinking about all of these different ways that this is happening. And then finally, the last discrete stage that a traveler would move through is the experience stage. So this is when a traveler is actually on the ground, participating in their travel. So the reason that we introduced this planning cycle really early is because we think that there's an opportunity to push out content that targets travelers at each one of these stages. And there's an opportunity to influence travelers' behaviors and to demonstrate the value of your business at each one of these stages. This is something that we'll sort of revisit throughout the presentation today, but it's something to sort of be thinking about. So just as a couple of quick examples, if we think about the key questions that travelers are asking themselves, these align sort of as you add more detail to these questions, they align with the different stages of the travel planning cycle. So travelers might be asking themselves early in the cycle, well, where should I go on vacation? Or when should I go on vacation? What destination should I go to? What makes any one destination different or special or unique or better than another destination? Then, of course, once they've determined what that destination is, well, what should I do when I get there? What sort of activities are available there? What makes any one activity provider better than any other? Where should I sleep when I stay there? Where should I eat? What should I do? How long should I stay is a big question that travelers have as well. What should I bring? What's the weather going to be like? Is there anything that's not available locally that I have to bring that I wouldn't have thought of? And then, of course, when travelers have determined what they want to do and where they want to stay, they have to determine, well, what makes any one business, any one activity provider, or accommodation provider, any of these, what makes them unique? Why should I stay there? Is the price right for me? Do they support local initiatives that I support? Are they extra friendly? Do they have the highest quality? And travelers will be looking for this information. And so what you as marketers of small businesses have an opportunity to do is to answer all of these questions for travelers, and to be pushing out content that answers these travelers' questions and really demonstrates the value of your business for travelers at each one of these stages of travel. What we've identified is sort of the three most important platforms for businesses to communicate with travelers in the online space would be your website, would be social media, and would be travel forums. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on this because I think that these are all going to be pretty familiar concepts to everybody on the webinar. And we've also visited some of these concepts on previous webinars. And of course, like I mentioned, we've got social media and forums coming up. But it still bears, I think, revisiting some of the concepts for these platforms. So we can just run through these three really quickly, starting with your website. So last month, if you were on the webinar, we were talking about what makes a great website, and the two sort of main concepts that we identified on that are your website design and the website content. Of course, we're still talking here about communicating effectively with travelers, answering travelers' questions, and demonstrating the value of your business and what makes your business unique. And really both of these elements, both design and content, play a very important role in this. Last month, we identified the common mistakes in website design. We said that, in these, your text might not be legible. Information is hard to find. Maybe your navigation is unclear. Your home page or even the internal pages are confusing and hard to navigate. Or the site looks unprofessional or outdated. And all of these would have a negative effect on travelers that are trying to use your website to find more information, whether it's about a destination and to answer sort of general questions, or whether they're researching your business itself in order to make a decision of whether or not to patronize your business. So last month, we looked at some of these common design mistakes and thought about how to work through some of them and resolve some of those issues. And then, of course, we got the website content itself. We identified some common mistakes in website content. The first of which is that the content's not accurate or it's not up to date. Maybe your prices aren't right, or the photos are outdated, the directions no longer apply, something like this. Other problems in your content might be typos or grammar mistakes, which detract from the professionalism of your site and really have a negative effect on your company brand. Maybe the calls to action aren't clear. So if you want somebody to call you, instead of saying call me, you say contact me or Skype me or something like this. That's a little bit less clear. Another common mistake with website content is that the content isn't written for the right audience. So you would have a lot of maybe technical jargon, or maybe you're referencing places in the destination that travelers aren't familiar with because they haven't been there before. Another common problem with website content is that it's not written for search engines. And this is a concept that we visited in a little more detail last month, so we won't get into it too much. But the idea here is that search engines are using your website content in order to make sure that travelers that are using search engines are arriving at the right place. And there's a few different principles at play there that dictate how you should be producing your content. In any case, we can kind of take a look at your website, and assuming that you're not making these really common mistakes in the design and in the content that you have, that we can revisit the content that you should be putting on your website. So at its sort of most fundamental, we can have this checklist of important content. Every great website, of course, will have a home page or a welcome page. This will have a really quick description of what your business is. Usually the less text, the better on a home page. You'd be looking at having maybe one paragraph at the most. You'd really want some great photos on your homepage. This is where you would add the best photos that you would have that really are making a great first impression. You should generally assume that travelers that are arriving at your website land first on your homepage, and so this is really your first opportunity to wow travelers. Even for travelers that aren't just coming to your website but are patronizing your business itself, this is probably the first touch that you'll have with prospective clients. So it's really, really important, of course, that your homepage has this professional feel and makes a great first impression. The other content that you would want to have on your website is a description of your product or your packages. If you're a tour operator, your itineraries. If you're a hotel, of course, you want a description of the amenities, of the rooms, maybe of the neighborhood, of the destination. But the idea is to have a very succinct and clear description of your packages. Other information that you'd want to include, you'd want to have on the website is what's included in your pricing or what's not included. Is breakfast included, for instance? If you're a tour operator, if there are things that travelers need to bring, or do you provide everything that they'll need? Contact information, of course, is very, very important on your website. And it should be very clear on how travelers ought to be contacting you. If you're a hotel and somebody wants to make a reservation at the hotel, is the best thing to do to email you? Is the best thing to do to call you, to connect over Skype? Or can we make a booking directly over the website? And how are you redirecting people to the website to this contact information? Of course, how to get to your business is going to be very important. A map would be great, especially something that's very clear and provides enough context that a traveler is able to look at it and determine where your business is located. Clear directions from different points of entry would be very important, whether it's from a local airport, from a bus terminal, from a train station, or however else travelers are arriving at your destination. Testimonials would be a great idea to have on your website as well. Testimonials would be reviews either from previous clients, from previous guests. It's great to quote guidebooks here, review sites, things like TripAdvisor to bring in these really positive reviews. Being able to demonstrate to travelers what a great experience previous clients had is going to be really important. On your website, of course, you'll also want to have links to social networking sites, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Most websites will have a really clear About Us page. This would be a great opportunity to talk about what makes you unique, to talk about the history of your business, to include photos of yourself, of your staff, the business as it's evolved. Talk about major milestones in your business. And it's really kind of an opportunity to connect with your clients and to demonstrate the value of your business, and to start to give your brand a voice and allow you to really kind of communicate your company's story with the travelers. Of course, photos and videos are going to be really important in your website, and every page should have at least one really great evocative image. Generally, you'll want to have sort of a balance of images, images of people, images without people. The kind of goal would be to include images of your target market. So if you're marketing to young people, young backpackers, for instance, then to have photos of young backpackers. If you've got older clients, then that would be great as well. The idea is that you can present images that really make your target markets and the people that you're trying to market to be able to see themselves at your business and enjoying your services. The goal with all this website content is really to just focus on what makes you unique. Don't try to be something you're not, or don't try to highlight services that you don't offer or don't offer well, because ultimately what you'll be doing is just alienating the business that you do get. Much better to focus on what makes you unique, on what makes you special, especially vis-a-vis your competitors. Really highlight what it is that you're most proud of your business and that your customers are most satisfied with. So that's sort of a quick introduction to the content that your website should have when you're visiting, when you're facing travelers. We can take a look at social media as well. And like I said, we'll get into this in a lot more detail next month, so I don't want to spend too much time on this. But the idea is, over here on the left-hand column, we've got opportunities for you to be delivering content on social media. So almost all major social media platforms will give you an opportunity to fill out a profile. This will have a photo. Oftentimes with Facebook, for instance, you'll have an opportunity for a cover photo as well as a profile photo. Generally, the rule of thumb with social media is that your profile photo, so this would be the smaller photo, is generally your company logo, and your larger cover photo should be a really great evocative image that demonstrates either the destination that you're in, the product that you offer, services, something that would really resonate with your target markets. It's very important with social media that you make sure that all of the opportunities that you have to describe your business, you're taking advantage of all of these. So most social media platforms will have different about sections. There'll be a smaller section as well as a larger section. Excuse me here. And if you're not filling all this in to the most complete that you're able, then you're really missing an opportunity to be providing information about yourself and about your services to the audiences that you have on social medias. It's very important that you have your website link. Ultimately, you should be using social media to be driving people towards your website. And so having these links that are available and clear on social media is going to be really important. And then, of course, the last thing that you'd want to have is contact information. So if people aren't going to your website, then you want to be able to let them contact you directly through social media, whether they find you through social media or if you've been engaging them on social media. This, of course, is how they're actually going to turn into customers when they pick up the phone and call you, or they send you an email and decide they want to buy your services. On the right-hand column here, this is just a few things that make social media unique, especially compared to a website. Social media is a great way for you to actually engage with your fans, to engage with your clients, either one-on-one or else in sort of a group setting. And you can really start to communicate with people in a very personal way that you can't do on most other marketing platforms. And here again, we'll get into this in a little bit more detail. But the idea here now is to just take a look at some of these concepts. On social media, you've usually got opportunities to pose questions, to offer polls. It's a great way for you to do a little bit of research about what it is that your customers are looking for. You can also make it more fun and just be engaging people and providing opportunities for people to sort of touch with your brand. Social media is a great opportunity for you to share information, whether it's about your destination, about your business, or about maybe concepts or principles or ideas or causes that you're interested in and that your business stands for, that you think would resonate with your audiences. Of course, anybody that spent time on social media would know that that humor generally resonates really well on social media, and telling things like jokes and being able to make links to funny content is something that's always appreciated by audiences. Ultimately, what you're able to do with social media is you're able to develop a voice for your brand, and you're able to communicate this voice to your audiences in a way that's really pretty effective and very direct. I've just got a couple of examples that we can take a look at before we kind of move on, and again, we'll visit this in more detail next month. But here we are on a Facebook page. This is a big outbound tour operator, and you can see across the top here we've got a great big, this is the cover photo. We've got a great photo here that would really resonate with their audiences. You'll see the logo is used in the profile page. They've got their about section filled out. They've got their link right here in the front. If you were to click on the about link here, then this would open up wider and you'd see much more information. Of course, they've got all of these filled out, so you've got all this information available. And this just looks really great. Another really popular social media platform, of course, is Twitter. So if we look at the same company, what they're doing with Twitter, here again, they've got the logo as this profile page, profile photo. They've got their contact information. They've got their website. Just a quick bio here about them. And then if we actually look at the content that they're pushing out through Twitter, you'll see that they've got a great mix of different types of content that would really resonate with their fans. So I've just got 4 posts here that all kind of came in a row that I just grabbed because I thought they were great examples of Twitter content. So here on November 11th, you can see that they're sort of advertising a giveaway that another company is doing. And so even though they're cross promoting, they're not promoting themselves. What they are doing is they're providing value to their fans. So somebody that's following them on Twitter would have an opportunity to go and participate in this sweepstake, which is an incentive for somebody to continue to follow them. They're really providing value here and providing information that travelers would find valuable. Here, their next post, you can see it's a link back to their own blog. Just a quick article that they wrote that's interesting, that would resonate with their audiences. And of course, they're driving people to their blog, which is great. Here before that, they had retweeted something from Huffington Post Travel. So this is an article about a 100-year-old woman fulfills lifetime dream and our hearts grew 3 sizes. So it's just something interesting. It's a quick little read. It's here again, it's not promoting their business or their services, but it is just engaging with their fans. And speaking with engaging with fans, you've got here the day before, they had sent a message directly to one person. So if we click here to view the conversation, you would see that there was a whole exchange going back and forth, and they were just communicating with this one person, which of course is demonstrating their commitment to their customers. Of course, it makes this one customer, Barbara, feel very special and feel like they're really taking care of her. But everybody that's seeing this take place in a public way would understand that this is a company that values their customers and is really engaging with them great. We'll get a little bit more into social media next month, and then the subsequent month we'll talk in a little bit more detail about forums and review sites. But just for the sake of touching on it now, forums, particularly TripAdvisor, Lonely Planet, Thorntree, give you an opportunity to claim your property or to sign in as a manager of your property. And once you've done that, you can do things like add photos, you can add location and contact information, directions to your business. You can list out your amenities, your features, your products, your services, and a little bit more detail that might be provided. And most importantly, it allows you to respond directly to reviews. So when people are writing positive reviews, you can thank them for staying, invite them to come back, and then make sure that you're sort of rebroadcasting this messaging. And if somebody writes a negative review or if they had a negative experience, then this is an opportunity for you to demonstrate that you hear that complaint, that you acknowledge it, that you can make a commitment to correct what had happened, or at the very least to provide your side of the story. So it's a great way to manage your reputation, and when it's done effectively, you can amplify positive messages and sort of mitigate negative messaging. So we'll get into that in a little bit more detail, but the idea here is that this is going to be a very popular platform for online audiences to find information about your business, and so it's really very important that you're out there pushing out content there. So let's turn our attention to the travel trade. Like I mentioned, with travel trade, we'd be talking about things like outbound tour operators in source markets, like Europe, the US, North America, wherever your customers might be coming from. There'd be tour operators there that are bringing groups. There might be travel agents that are or maybe are not selling your business or your services. And the idea is that these members of the travel trade are out there looking for information just like travelers. And they've got questions, and you have the resources to be communicating with them, to be answering their questions, to be demonstrating the value of your business. And ultimately, if you're doing it effectively, to be gaining new trade partners, new sales partners, exclusively over online channels. Just like we did with travelers, I think it's important to put yourself in the position of potential trade partners, and to be thinking about the same types of questions that they would have. So for example, what makes any given destination special? What makes it unique? Ultimately, why should they be selling that destination? Why would their customers want to go there? If there's a destination that they decide that they would like to sell, then the question that they would have is how can they sell it better? What sort of resources are out there that they can be leveraging, whether it's educational resources or marketing resources that allow them to communicate with their audiences better than they're able to now. On a related note, how do they improve their product? So how do they find local suppliers? Especially if it's a tour operator, how do they know which hotels that their guests should stay at? How do they know what activity providers or inbound operators they should contract with and partner with? And ultimately, it comes down to trust. How do they know that their clients will like their suppliers? How do they know that the suppliers will be up at the same level of quality that they expect? And how can they ensure that that the people that they're trying to do business with are going to maintain the brand reputation that they're seeking to maintain? The solution to this is to be providing all of this information through your trade marketing. So what we recommend is that everybody should have a trade portal within their website. So this could be as simple as one page. It could be multiple pages. But the idea is that there would be a component of your website that you can direct members of the travel trade to, where you would have marketing material that targets them specifically. So we'll run through these in a little bit more detail for each one. But the essential sort of checklist of content that you should have for your travel trade portal would be a quick fact sheet. Sometimes we'd call this a sell sheet. It could be a one-pager, maybe it'd be a couple of pages, but it's basically an introduction to your business. You should have marketing copy, and by this we mean text, descriptions that your trade partners can essentially copy and paste and use in their own catalogs, on their own websites, in their own marketing material. Related to that would be images and videos that trade partners can use. And then, of course, pre-departure information that they can share with their clients. And for you, what would be really important to have would be next steps, contact information, so that you can take these potential partners and really convert them into real partners. So to look at each of these in a little bit more detail, we could start with fact sheets. I would imagine that most of you already have fact sheets, and if not, then this is a great place to get started. This would generally be a 3 to 5 page document. It could be a little bit shorter, but generally not much longer than this. And the fact sheet should start with a short summary of your product, just a quick description of what it is that you offer. It should be clear and easy to read. Don't worry about very flowery language or or anything like this. The most important thing is that it's just it's quick and it's easy to read. You should follow this with a detailed description of your products. So if you have tours, then maybe you would have a day-by-day itinerary. A hotel, you would describe your different rooms, the different pricing for your rooms, the different services, amenities, and this sort of thing. You would also have maybe a description of the destination where you are. If it's a large destination, then maybe the neighborhood, what makes it unique, what's nearby, this sort of information that partners should be looking for. Your pricing is really important, so you certainly want to have the pricing available. If your pricing fluctuates, then maybe you would provide a range. Generally, you would want to have your pricing information set for the next 18 to 24 months, so that trade partners that do access this information aren't surprised by price changes that might be coming up. Other important information might be information about discounts, commissions for trade partners, and how you would structure that relationship. And then, of course, information that they can provide with their clients. So things like what's included, a packing list for visiting your destination or your business, list of things that aren't available locally. So if that's things like batteries that are specific to a certain country, or chargers for electronics, things like this. The idea is that this information would be available for travelers early. The sort of idea with the fact sheet is that it doesn't have to be professionally produced, but it should look nice. You should include some photos. You should absolutely include your branding, so your company logo generally up at the top left. It should look nice. It should be easy to read. The text should be big enough. Of course, all of these design concepts that we were talking about the website earlier apply here as well. Generally, what this would do is you would save this as a PDF document, and you would have it provided on your website that's just available for download. And so when a website visitor downloads it as a PDF, they can print it out very easily and add it to their catalog that way. They can have it on their desk, they can save it, or of course they can always just revisit it in your website. Also included in this trade portal would be your marketing copy. So this is text that your sales partners can use in their own marketing materials. A lot of this might come from the sales sheet, but maybe this is something where you would want to think about presenting the information in a slightly more descriptive way, in a way that would face travelers as opposed to travel trade. You want to avoid abbreviation, things like PACs and sort of industry jargon. And you would want this to be the type of stuff that travelers should be looking for. Trade partners would find this very, very valuable because, especially if they don't know your product very well, then it allows them to market you without having to get more information. This is the type of stuff that they can either drop on their own website, that they can add to their catalog, that they can add up to their blog, to their social media, this sort of information. Examples of what you might have here would be your product descriptions or itineraries, information about the destination, so anything from upcoming events to frequently asked questions, things like weather information, what to bring, all this information that travelers are looking for. Another opportunity would be to have what we call white label blog posts. So these would just be blog posts that your trade partners could post directly to a blog as their own content. So the reason that it's white label is that it doesn't have your information. It's got the partner's information. So this could be, here again, anything about the destination, about your business. The idea is that it's just content that marketing partners can use. This should be presented in a format that makes it easy to copy and paste. Generally, PDF documents, you're able to copy and paste, so that's a great way to present that. Of course, just on-screen content on your website is easy to copy and paste as well. Images and video, we can generally provide these as a zip file that trade partners can download. Here again, the idea is that this is content that partners use in their own marketing. Like I said before, this is something that they can drop into their blog, into their social media, into their website, into their catalogs, and they can really be communicating with their audiences this way. Rules of thumb with photos is that it should include people from your target markets, like we mentioned before. It should really illustrate the unique qualities of your business, whether those are wildlife, the quality of your lodging, your activities, the staff, the food, the activities that people are doing, whether they're having, if they're having fun, if whatever this might be. Images and video too, for that matter, don't need to be professional, but they should be of high quality. They should look nice. They should be well lit, of course. They should be in focus, and images should always be provided in high resolution, so that partners can be using them in print and online. You'd also want to include pre-departure information. So this is generally a 2 or 3 page document. With just important information for the guests. So here again, we've got things like the packing list, information about dangers and annoyances that might happen in the destination, whether that's things like insects, travel problems, road closures, things like this. Again, destination information, where hospitals might be located, how to get here, how to get there, how to get to your business, of course. Arrival directions are going to be very important. Both to get to the destination as well as to get to your business itself. And then, of course, you would want to have contact information, whether that's for you and your business or whether it's for the trade partner. The idea is that travelers are going to be looking for that information. So the last component of your trade portal here would be contact and next steps. So, of course, somebody that's coming through and is thinking about adding you as a supplier are going to want to know more information. So at the easiest level, this might be something as simple as sending you an email, being able to get on the phone with them, Skype. You want to be able to demonstrate what the best way to contact you is. And then maybe to illustrate what that next step is. If you have planned to attend a trade show, that might be a great way to try to set up a meeting and to meet with a trade partner in person. And so you want to make it clear how it is that people could contact you. Another thing that trade partners might be looking for is a way for them to experience your products. So if you offer a fam trip, or if you'd be willing to offer a discount in order for somebody to come and to experience your products and to meet you in person, then this is information that you would want to have readily available as well. There's a couple different ways that you can present your website trade portal. Oftentimes on more sophisticated websites, they'll have password protected. They'll call it like a travel agent section or a travel trade section, something like this. And the pros of this is that you can control who it is that gets this information. So if you have steeply discounted rack rates, for instance, then customers don't have to see what those prices are. Also, if people have to create profiles in order to see this content, then it's an opportunity for you to see who it is that's viewing this. The cons, of course, are pretty clear. People are less likely to create an account to see this information than just click on a link to see it. So you might lose people that way. And then, of course, it might just be technically difficult or prohibitively expensive to set up a password protected section of your website. And so, of course, in that case, it wouldn't be worth it. So it's sort of a balancing act to determine whether or not it's something that you ought to do, but it's not something that you should consider mandatory. I think that just having a link to a couple of pages within your website for trade is probably good enough. Finally, let's take a look at the media and how you can be using marketing content to communicate directly with the media. Just like we did with travelers and just like we did with trade, we can present or we can think about the media in terms of key questions. By media, of course, we're talking about generally writers for magazines, potentially for television, for different audiences, potentially for blogs, for online audiences, and maybe just social media. Regardless, all of these different media personas are going to have similar questions. Generally, what's happening in a destination? How timely is what's happening? Is it something that is only relevant now, or is it something that's relevant for a long time? What's a particular angle for a story? And most importantly, why would their readers care about a story? what is it about something that's going on that would resonate with their readers, and makes that content relevant for the people that they're trying to communicate with. And then, of course, they'd once they're sort of introduced to a story, they'd want to know, well, who can I talk to about it? How can I get more information? How can I get quotes? How can I get another perspective, and that sort of thing. Generally, what we would look at doing would be setting up, just like you did a trade section, you want to have a little media section on your website. That could include a media kit, which could be as simple as just a destination guide and press releases. By destination guide, you can think about your sell sheet or your fact sheet and put together something that would be similar to this. It would just be a short document, maybe 1 to 3 pages, that just has key information about the destination for members of the media that might want to be writing about it, but not know very much about the destination. So that would be things like listing popular attractions or popular activities. Of course, logistical information like arrival and transfer information. And then statistics and numbers. And this is going to be very important for members of the media because, of course, this is the kind of stuff that they'd want to be reporting on. So things like the number of arrivals, whether there's seasonality to arrivals, what kinds of audiences are coming to this destination, how many people are selling it, what sort of activities are available, pricing, of course. This would all be the sort of information that the media would be looking for. Here again, you might want to include things like packing lists and this sort of information that readers of the media might be interested in. And just like with Never the Travel Trade, what you really want to have here is really great photos and maybe video, but definitely great photos that media can pick up and can publish with whatever stories they do decide to put out. Again, like your sell sheet, it doesn't have to be professional, but it should look nice. It should be clear, well-designed, easy to read. It should sort of communicate professionalism and really represent your brand. The other component of your media kit, in addition to this destination guide with the background information, would be press releases. Press releases would be a 1, maybe 2-page at the most document that fundamentally is just making an announcement. So this would generally happen around some sort of event or some sort of piece of news. This is something that you'd want to be communicating with the press, and you want them to pick up and to publish as a story. So the way you do this is you put together this press release, again, 1 to 2 pages, starting with a very clear and succinct short headline. They're almost always written in bold. The headline should just be a 1-sentence that describes exactly what it is that's happening and what exactly that story is. Below that, you just want to have a clear, to-the-point description of what's going on. No need to be really frilly here or use marketing language. The simpler, the easier to read, the better. You're going to start with the most important information and then add details below. You think about an inverted triangle like we have here, where you start with the most important information, and then below that you add supporting details, and then finally you have related information. The idea being that people will generally read the information at the top, and then if you lose them, at least they're going to come away with the most important information. Again, you're always going to want to include your contact information, include relevant links. So say to your website, to the destination website, or to anything else. And then of course, you're always going to want to make sure that you've done your spell check and you're using correct grammar. If you're publishing in a language that isn't your first language, then it's always a great idea to have a native speaker of whatever language you're publishing in to take a look and make sure that everything's clear. Because of course it comes back to the professionalism. Also in a press release, you're always going to want to include a short and relevant quote. So this is particularly important because oftentimes the media, they might not run your press release verbatim, but they will pull out this quote and attribute it to you. So it's a great way to get that attention. When should you issue a press release is a great question. Of course, you don't want to do it too often because you would risk sort of alienating whatever contacts you have with trivial or unimportant information. On the other hand, it's okay to do it more than you might think. And you don't necessarily need something that's groundbreaking or some sort of great once in a lifetime sort of event in order to issue a press release. But you should do it around something that's relevant. So common times to issue a press release might be some sort of company milestone. For example, if you have an anniversary, you're 5 years old, you're 10 years old, you've been around for 20 years. If you hire, say, your 10th staff person, you have expanded to some sort of notable milestone. Of course, you might look at if you have a new product or a new service. If you introduce new tour products, for instance, if you've bought new vehicles, something like this. If you've been nominated or if you've won an award, this is a great opportunity to issue a press release. If you or your staff have completed some sort of training or have some sort of certification, then that would be a great time to issue a press release. If you join an association, and then of course anything that might be going on around the destination. So if you participate in a local event, anything that might be going on around a holiday or some sort of special local event, or any sort of destination news. Would be an opportunity to issue a press release and to really command that story. Once you've sort of identified an opportunity to create a press release, there's all kinds of different ways for you to really distribute it in effective ways. The first, maybe the most easiest, is just online, what they call newswires. So these are just services that you can upload a press release to. And then they have networks of, sometimes thousands of journalists that this all goes out to. Here's a couple of examples that are sort of general issue press releases. PR Web and eWorldWire are some of the largest online. And then Travel Wires is one that's particular to the travel trade. This definitely is not an exhaustive list. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of newswires. Some of them are free to publish on. Some of them cost a little bit of money. Generally, you've got nothing to lose by putting it out on the free press release wires. And it's actually a great way to get your story out in front of a bunch of journalists. Another great tool is something called Help a Reporter Out. Help a Reporter Out is an opportunity for you to connect directly with reporters. So you can fill out a free profile. You can demonstrate or you can explain on your profile what it is that you specialize in, and you sort of set yourself up as an expert. So you can set yourself up as an expert in your destination or in your industry. The idea is that reporters that are looking for a story can go in and they can search for people that they can contact for quotes, for background information, or just for news stories. And so it's a really great opportunity for you to go out and to become a leader in your destination, and to make sure that any stories that are coming out about your destination are going to feature you and your business. So this is something that we definitely really highly recommend that you do from a media perspective. Another thing that you can do is to actively go out and to find reporters. The easiest way to get started with this is to just do a Google News search. So just go to Google. You can click on the News tab down below, and then just enter in, say, your destination or your business, or anything else that might be relevant to you. And what you'll come up with is an exhaustive list of everything that's been published about that search term. So if you're in Bocas del Toro, for instance, you can go in, do a quick search for Bocas del Toro, and you'll find every single story that's come out in the news about Bocas del Toro. And what you can do is click on any one of these, and you'll find the contact information for the person that wrote that story. So here we've got Easy to Reach Beach Paradise in Panama. You can see down at the bottom there, it's by Erica Mills at internationalliving.com. And if you were to click on that, then you would get her contact information, either an email address or her Twitter handle. And this is somebody that is interested in Panama, is interested in Bocas del Toro. And in the future, when you have something relevant that you would like to be pushing out content or a press release to, then this is somebody that you can contact. So if you don't already have a database of press contacts, then this is a great way to get started developing out that list. of people that you know are interested in your product or your destination. And these are people that you can, in the future, start to begin to contact to send either press releases or try to get on the phone and really pitch a story to them. So we're at an hour now, so I think that we should probably start wrapping up. I'd like to point out that all of our previous webinars, like I mentioned before, are available at YouTube. Here's a link to that. You'll find the previous 2 webinars in English and in Spanish. We'll also upload this webinar in English and in Spanish as soon as we can. You can look for the next couple of days. There's a great opportunity there to go back. If there's anything that you missed, you can find all that information. And I'll just wrap up by revisiting this this course outline. This has been our 3rd webinar, Developing Content for Tourism Marketing. And I hope that everybody joins us again next month for the Social Media and Tourism webinar. This is where we'll really dive into social media. We'll be looking at how you can really be promoting your business and driving sales through social media. And I think it'd be great. Should be very informative. I think that I really hope to see everybody there. With that, I'll wrap up the webinar. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at info@gobluecentralamerica.org, or of course you can visit our Facebook page and post questions there. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you next month.